There were dark wooden booths lining 2 walls, and the bar itself wrapped around the third, stopping right at the edge of the doorway where people were still tramping in from the cold. So many tonight. Perhaps she'd lost track of a holiday. Perhaps some football team had won, or some basketball team had lost, or some festival was getting underway. Ada searched her mind and the random bits of conversation closest to her for an explanation, and found none. The interstate exit, and the fact that they sold real food at all hours of the day and night, meant that they got college kids at 3 a.m. on their way up to school, or from school over a holiday break. And they got out-of-towners that stopped in looking for a place with a restroom, only to settle in for a drink, and a smoke, and to listen. And they got the occasional other folk in their hidden migrations, the ones who could look at Ada and know what she was, and why the bar staff was never quite all there about the eyes. But the other folk never stayed more than a night or 2, and as long as they kept their teeth to themselves, Ada pretended she couldn't recognize the familiar hunger that rumbled low in her belly at the sight of them. It hardly mattered. There were none in the crowd tonight, anyway. Rex returned with a fresh glass of wine and set it on the bar for her, but her taste for it had soured. Instead, she looked to the crystal lights above and gave a slight nod of her head. Music began to play then, the sounds emanating from everywhere and nowhere at once. With a practiced slink, Ada made her way to the stage and took the microphone from the stand. There was a breathless moment of anticipation that shivered over the crowd, though their full attention remained scattered right up until Ada opened her mouth and began to sing. Then, one by one, the patrons turned towards her, their eyes transfixed. Men and women alike stopped mid-sentence or mid-sip, their mouths agape as the song hooked the edges of their attention and unwound their free will like a spool of thread. And as the song twined around every person caught in the hazy smoke, Ada's mind drifted, one by one, over each. She listened in to their past conversations as they replayed in her mind's eye, and after another verse from the song, she moved from the stage and onto the floor, pausing now and again to stare at some frozen figure in the dark, in the smoke. Sometimes, if a patron had something she wanted, Ada leaned in and kissed them to take it. Man or woman, or neither, it mattered not to her. Ada caressed each face with the same gentle fascination, and then pressed her wine-soured lips warmly against theirs. Later, when the song was done, they'd stay behind. Nothing could dissuade them. And thus, she always had suitable bar staff for her needs.